what we do is we look for opportunities to help startups and business owners. In-house, we have normal loans like a bank does, a normal loan. But in a community like in Corpus Christi, we have loans where if you can meet our underwriting guidelines, the city is helping you with a low interest rate. But we have underwriting guidelines just like a bank. So we have different programs for sometimes for women, sometimes programs specifically targeted to Latinas. Sometimes there is a program that has been brought to us, and we're working on contracts, by the way. The contract will say we want somebody in a very impoverished community where they do not have access to food. What's the correct term in that? A food desert, right? So we'll get those types of funding. It's not free money. It's money that we are looking for individuals who have need for that. So I go and source that as the market manager. But as a nonprofit, we do offer SBA loans as well. So if you can't qualify for any of those programs, it's a type of program where the SBA is your big brother. They're offering an opportunity like a VA loan where we're going to use the SBA program to help make your company less risky for us.
With the banking industry, the biggest thing I would say is create a relationship with your local bankers. Go to the same person for the lending aspect so that they can not only get to know you, but your business and your ideas. When someone walks in and just asks for something and you've never talked to them, you have no idea their history, their success that they've had, it's a lot more difficult than if you have a personal relationship with the banker. Every bank has different underwriting guidelines, but a lot of times on the business side, there's flexibility in those guidelines if it's an established relationship. You have your checking accounts, you do your merchant services, you do all of your products through that bank, and they are going to do everything they can to work with you because essentially they can't afford to lose you. So they're going to work a lot harder to accomplish the goals. With the new businesses, obviously the hard part is the initial capital injections which are generally required. I would remind most people that a lot of the big corporations that are out there today started in their garages. They started in their basements or their living rooms. I recently closed a loan for a gentleman that had military patches. And he started out of his house and was doing over $1 million in revenue out of his living room. There's not a lot of capital that's required for that. It's the hustle. And then the other thing I would add, as a small business, you write everything that you can off as a tax expense. The trouble with that is when you go to the bank and you show them your tax returns, yeah, you don't have to pay income taxes, but there's also no verifiable revenue, verifiable repayment source. So be careful if you're looking for credit through a bank, especially when they're looking at your financials. If you wrote everything off and you're showing losses on your tax returns, they're probably not going to be able to give you any money because you don't show the capacity that you pay. Again, build a relationship with the bank. They can walk you through the programs and the interest rates, the terms, and what you would need. And then the Small Business Development Center is a great tool to help put together, your loan packages, your projections for what the company can do over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, and that will help with the SBA loans as well.
So if we could get everyone...
Excuse me, everyone. I know everyone's chatting and having a great time. It's getting a little loud in here for the panel. We'd love to hear our panelists as they give some really valuable information. So if we can all please respect that. Thank you.
I want to let them go first because obviously them are actually in the financial system. There's a lot of information that they can provide for you guys. But one of the things that I want to emphasize on is that many of us, as we're starting our first small business, we often don't necessarily know the track or the process to go and ask for the loan. Just one of the things that he was mentioning is building that relationship with your banker. When you're going out there for a bank, into a bank to ask for a loan, they usually do, was it 5 cents or 6 cents? 5 cents? 5 cents? So there's 5 C's that a bank looks into, and one of them is character. Character really goes above and beyond what the numbers are able to provide. So you might be able to show, revenue, you might be able to show, what your financial statements might look like, but outside of that, there is that one category that is character, and that's that interaction between you and the banker. What can the banker get out of you that would not be able to be shown on paper? And that's why it's really important to be able to go out to the banker, have that relationship with them. as you build your business and as you look to expand it, that you already have that established relationship with them. They know how you work. They know your work ethic. And they know everything that's outside of the paper that would otherwise not be shown in the numbers. Now, with that, I also want to mention that, again, most of us, as we're starting our first business, we don't necessarily know the steps or the process that it takes to be able to start the business or go out there and ask for a loan. So very often, we get very excited, we get, very enthusiastic about opening up the business. We're so excited about it that we don't realize that very often, more than not, we have to, line up our financial structure to make sure that we're aligned with what the bank is going to ask for us. Again, life happens, hospital bills happen, and when you're going in there to ask for a loan, whether it's a small one, large one, or whatever the size might be, if you're going in there with, medical bills that have been unpaid, if you're in collections and all that stuff, it's going to affect you. And that is just, in small business in general. Small businesses, not everybody, there's some of that the process, but a lot of them, when they step into the bank, they just have this idea like, hey, I want to start a business, but don't necessarily do the pre-work that it takes to do to get ready for that. A lot of it comes also from the SBC, where they can actually create or help you create not only a business plan but also a marketing plan. How is your business going to run? Who are you going to market to? How are you going to reach those people that you want to reach out to before you even go and ask for a loan? So again, a lot of the things that when you think of as a small business, it's a lot of work to be done beforehand. A lot of it, of course, has to do with access to financing, and that access to financing makes it's even easier if you're prepared for it. Again, if you know that let's say in 6 months, 9 months, you're going to be asking for let's say a $70,000 loan. What can I do now to make sure that I put myself in the best position so that when I'm sitting in front of that banker, that I'm able to show that finance in a stable way, that the loan is more likely to be approved, rather than going in there and finding out that you're in collections, or that you have to work out on a lot of things before you actually get your loan. So again, the things that we try to prepare you guys for, us as a partners, to make sure that you guys are in the best position, so that when you guys are ready for the small business, that you guys have the best ability to go in there and ask for that loan. So.
As a business owner standpoint, I just want to reiterate kind of everything they said. My business is floral and design, so I'm creative and eclectic, and I hate to write spreadsheets and business plans. So of course, I started just as this was my side hustle. This was what I did for fun. And then when I actually realized, oh, I have a business on my hands, I need to pay taxes and all these other things. Small Business Development Center helped a lot. That's the first thing Laura is going to tell you to do. Do you have a business plan? Do you have a financial structure? So really going and utilizing their services to get that help to figure out how to get all your ducks in a row is really where you need to start. So you want to make sure you start there. Don't go backwards like I did, to just jump in the deep end and then try to figure it all out. These people are really here to help us, to help you, get everything in order.
Wonderful, wonderful. Alrighty, our next question I think is going to be really good for the young entrepreneurs and young people who really want to start in the business. So the question is, for young people starting out, what kind of options does your organization or business have for funding? I would love to start with Josh.
So with the banking industry, and it's every single bank, it's the equity injection, capital injection has to be there. The grant money that you can get from certain areas will obviously count toward that. There are a lot of alternative sources for just banking. Nowadays with fintech, anybody that's younger is probably very familiar with all the different online sources of financing. They'll do some startup stuff that's higher risk that there isn't history for, and maybe that would be your capital injection. With banks, it all depends on what type of business you're starting. If you're starting a real estate company where you're going to flip houses, you can pretty much do that through any bank, because it's easy to evaluate the value of a house, or commercial real estate. If you're starting a clothing company, the cost of clothes is going to be substantially higher than what a bank can sell it for if we ever had to sell that. So it's, again, for the banks and for myself, create a circle of people that you can go to for information and make a banker one of those. Most bankers will give you their cell phone and you can call them any time of day. If they don't do that, call me. I'm happy to help. As far as the loans, though, it's completely dependent on the type of business and type of financing you need. There's also sources out there for people to go to if they're waiting 30 or 60 days to get paid for a product that they've already sold. It provides accounts receivable financing. There's a ton of different options. It's just sitting down and having a conversation with somebody. A leader in the type of business that you want to do is going to be able to give you a lot of influence on that as well. So, that's a product type. Is get you there.
So I'm going to start with like the young people in the room, mom and dad. We talked about legacy and developing that legacy. If we have young people, take them with you. Lemonade Day through the Chamber of Commerce is a fun opportunity to teach them about being entrepreneurial because they get to learn what it is, the cost of pricing. They get to market themselves. They get to sell. Mom and dad are there with them, and it's a great experience. I was with another Lemonade Day chamber out of the area, and the children are getting financial education at the same time. Some of the schools, when I grew up, we actually went to the schools and we teach them how to save money, how to use a checking account. But if you want to start them young for that legacy, take them with you. I used to listen to a lot of programming, and it would say, if you want somebody to learn, if they like something, take them with you, because if they really don't like it, don't let them push them into it. But start young, teach them how to have a savings account, a checking account, have a roundtable discussion at home when you're going through a budget, because part of being a business owner is you're going to impact your household budget. I always ask, if you're starting this by yourself, or if you happen to have a spouse or a partner, have you talked to your partner about this? Does your family know what you're going to do? Because you're going to change the finances of the household. Are they in it with you? Because if they're not, you're going to have some fun. So if you want to start them young, Lemonade Day is great. If I'm a startup, we don't have things for people under the 18 years of age because legally in my company you have to have 21 years of age. So if I'm less than 21 years of age and I want to start a business, mom and dad have to come to the table with you. And then we're going to look at mom and dad's credit, as we talked about the 5 C's of credit, because that's your character. But you're starting something to help them understand what is entrepreneurship. There are also personality tests. I cannot be an entrepreneur. I am high anxiety working for my clients in a business environment. I've gotten very comfortable with my regular paycheck, right? There's personality tests to see if you can really do this. And if you really can't, then your child can do the same thing. Take those personality tests and start grooming them so that if you want to start a legacy for them, groom them to start with you. And start learning about credit, learning about how to have a bank account, learning how to have a savings account, bootstrapping it. Many of you are starting bootstrapping. That means you used your own money, you maybe borrowed some money from mom and dad, or you used your credit cards, but you didn't come to the banking or to the nonprofit industry because you self-started. You've got intellectual capacity, you're self-starting, right? In your home, writing your own books, developing your marketing. So all of that is a methodology. There are several classes going on within Corpus Christi. I was talking to Curtis about this earlier. There's a lot of things for us here. Ongoing learning through the SBDC, the Innovation Center. The city of Corpus Christi had something, learning to do business in Corpus Christi, not too long ago. So learn about those technical classes. Those are the terms we use, technical assistance. Learn about them so that you're better educated to start. Whether you're going to be an entrepreneur, like those 2 young ones over there who have their lemonade right there ready to sell, or if you're a young entrepreneur, that just means you just never got started. I have a 45-year-old who got started late. That man is high anxiety because he never knows where his next dollar is coming from because he's working on commissions. So it's a different lifestyle, but it's a very good lifestyle if you hang in there.
That was a really good answer. I'm actually going to answer this question with reference to an earlier question. If you guys were here, there was an earlier question about how to maintain culture, within the Black community. And I'm going to start off with a bit of information. Perhaps you guys have heard about this, and if not, then obviously this is an educational point. But the city is able to create something that's called a TERS, which is a tax increment reinvestment zone. Most of us are very familiar with the downtown one. So downtown already offers a TERS that if a small business wants to redevelop a building or improve their facade, they can actually get funding from the TERS itself and invest it back into that particular building. Now, the city has the capability to create TERS throughout the actual city. So the downtown actually is a perfect example of what can be created elsewhere in the city. Now, what I was talking about, referencing back to an earlier question, is that when we're trying to preserve the culture, if there are any particular African American concentrated neighborhoods or areas, this would be a great idea or a great concept for that neighborhood to consider creating a TERS. And the way that the TERS work is that essentially the city, once it creates a TERS, it creates a snapshot of what the property taxes generated at that time captured. And anything that goes, let's say, right now we're in year 2024, right? Let's say that the property taxes get captured for this year. Anything incremental into that goes into a little pool fund that gets reinvested into that same area, right? And what the city is able to create is that we're able to create these TERS to be able to reinvest that new additional tax into, again, small businesses. So when we're talking about, educating the public and educating what the city can do for small businesses, these are the sort of tools that, in a bigger picture, can actually help not only keep the culture intact, but also help the small businesses in a very specific geographical area. So I want to mention that because, as I mentioned earlier when I started, was that the department itself is very brand new. The Department of Economic Development is very brand new. And what we're here to do is we're here to listen to you guys to see what your guys' needs are as far as anything that involves anything within the city of Corpus Christi's geographical boundary, so that you guys can tell us very specifically, hey, we need access to capital, we need access to more resources, we need better education on how to prepare myself financially for starting a business. We need to learn where these resources are located. That is the type of information that we are looking for as a department, so that we can learn from you guys and start to make all these programs available to you guys and accessible to you guys in such a way that you guys are able to gain the most out of government for you. Again, I just mentioned the TERS because we have, many of us, all of us, I want to say, have this understanding of the downtown, but we believe it to be just the downtown that has that capability, where in fact it actually has the ability to be created somewhere else around the city. So I want to point that out, and again, as we gain more information from you guys, that's how we create better programs for the small businesses and for the Black community. So.
Very interesting. Thank you all for I learned a little bit from everybody. Thank you all for those little tidbits. I think just myself as a business owner, instilling those entrepreneurial skills into the younger generation, and listening to my organizational partners, like here with me on the stage, is the most important way to get young people excited about being an entrepreneur. Of course, we all want them to go to college, get an education, but college isn't for everybody. Like we have South Texas Tech here today, letting them know about trades that are available. That is another avenue to becoming your own business owner. So just giving all the education we possibly can to our youth to set them up for a successful future.
Great answer. Thank you so much. And we have another question, one more question. What type of incentives are there within the city to assist small businesses, especially minority-owned businesses? And I think you would be the best one for this answer.
So, oh, thank you. Yeah, so for anybody, we in economic development use a lot of acronyms for everything, right? We almost have, I have this joke that I have this really thick book of all the acronyms that we use. But yeah, tax increment reinvestment zone is what I've just mentioned right now. Again, it's one of many, many different tools that we have. There's a lot of different tools that are available. Right now, we do have the capability of utilizing a portion of the sales tax back into the businesses. But again, these programs, and I guess the benefit of it is that they don't exist yet. but they don't exist because we have not compiled enough information for you guys to make them available to you. As I was mentioning to some of the business owners earlier, is that I could create a program where we help you guys change the roof for your business, and you can come back to me and say, well, I don't need a roof fixed. Well, that's the reason why we don't want to create anything that is not going to be a high benefit to the community, which is the reason why we need your guys' input to know what it is that you guys need. Again, so just to kind of give you guys a brief list of what's available, one of them is, of course, the tax increment reinvestment zone, which is a geographical area that takes the property tax and reinvests it back into that same community or that same section. We also have, of course, the Type A, Type B, which takes a portion of the sales tax and again utilizes it for either infrastructure or business assistance. We have Chapter 312, which is tax abatement. That's when big business comes in and essentially they say, I'm not going to pay taxes or additional taxes, for a certain period of time. Or we're talking about Chapter 380 and 381, which essentially is the city and the county coming together and creating an agreement with a company so that they can get reimbursed either sales tax, hotel occupancy tax, property taxes, or a mixture of all of them put together. So again, we have all these different tools that are in our tool shed, but again, the best use of them is going to come from the feedback that we get from you guys as a community. What is it that you guys want to do? What types of businesses are you guys interested in creating? And that is going to be able to tell us how we're going to utilize these different tools to create programs. So even though I don't have a specific answer for what specific items we have in place now, the best answer I can give you guys is that with your guys' feedback, we will be able to create better programs, and we will be able to geographically concentrate on your guys' businesses.
Perfect. Alrighty. So we're going to, that was the last question. Oh, of course you can.
Somebody mentioned grants. Those were an anomaly, let's just say that. That's not something that normally happens. Grants happen because there was a catastrophe. We had COVID, we had Hurricane Harvey, we had Katrina. I was in Houston when Katrina hit. Those are when grants are really available to business owners. So that was just something unfortunate that happened, but then the money came from the SBA and other programs. Your city, I want to say this out loud, Corpus Christi was the first city to start a low interest rate program for business owners who cannot get a loan from traditional resources. So those are things that you need to know that the city is doing. We were the first to do that since 2004 in Corpus Christi. So I want to let you know what our city is doing for our business community. We also were the first business community to do a 0% interest rate when COVID hit. That meant that you all didn't have to pay interest. Yeah, you had a small fee because we are a nonprofit agency, so we charge for our services. But at that time, the city offered a 0% interest rate loan for you. We are in communication with them still. My CEO president was here on Monday talking to our leadership team to talk about programs that we need to make available for everybody in the business community. People of color, people of different needs, and we are studying that, as Arturo said. It is a big deal here because we're the first in the nation to do things that now the federal government is looking at. It's crossing party lines. We have our Senator John, what's his name? Horton, and Cory Booker. They are looking at how to appropriate things like this across the nation because our city did this for us. But we don't know about it because it's not communicated. So I'm glad that you guys are here. You're supposed to pass on the word, all right, and make that happen. Thank you for letting me interrupt you.
You are fine. You're giving us valuable information. Thank you so much. But we are not done just yet. I want to open up the floor for some questions for these businesses here that they can ask you all. So we want to be able to get as much out of these professionals as possible. So any businesses here have any questions for these amazing people up here on our panel? Don't all speak at once. Oh, any shy? Oh, yes, Elsie, please. We are going to actually come down and give you a microphone.
Or you can speak loud. Yeah, I have a voice that carries. So I hope everyone can hear. I just wanted to ask the panel, and of course, like to ask from our panelists is, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you see for as a small business? And I think we heard from the panel some of the great opportunities that are out there, the resources that are available in the Coastal Bend region. But as a business, what has been your biggest hurdle, and how did you get past that?
So for my business particularly, I would say my biggest hurdle is access to funding, because I have to buy my supplies, pay my rent at my shop when I did have a brick and mortar shop, and pay my rent at home, and pay for labor. So all of those three things combined is a huge overhead expense every single month when I have to wait for a customer to walk in the door to recoup those expenses. You know, the floodgates are open when I have to pay the bills, but it trickles back in when it's time for me to get paid. So as a business owner myself, I would say the biggest expense is access to capital, and then giving a reason why I need such large capital as overhead expenses. Anybody else?
I would say one thing with they all talking about churches and how the churches can help. Generally speaking, at church, your leaders in the church are the same leaders in the community. And I mean, if you see a young entrepreneur that's wanting to get started or looks like they're struggling, take them under your wing as a leader of the community, of the church. And hey, these are the steps that you got to take first before you can grow. These are the mistakes I made when I was young, and you can help them avoid. But some of those little mistakes can be very costly, as a lot of you know that have businesses. But I would say that's sort of one thing that church leaders, again, most of them are leaders in the community or business owners should help out. Not necessarily financially, but with knowledge and wisdom.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Some church leaders can help, but you have to have that knowledge to do that properly. And one of the things the Black Chamber has done, particularly, access to capital is an ongoing challenge for Black-owned businesses. We have started doing business as a Black-owned business series. And we kicked it off at a church location, and we have one every quarter. The last two we had dealt with funding, actually going over grants and opportunities that are geared specifically for Black-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and actually going over checklists regarding businesses, what legal things you need to have in place, what financial things you need to have in place. And so we've done that. We started doing that this year because we realized the need. So make sure that you attend these workshops, because that's one of the things that we're trying to do in terms of empowering small businesses in our community. The third one we're going to have on September 14th. We're going to be looking at developing a business capability statement, which is basically your business resume. And that's something that a lot of banks will ask for, a lot of funding organizations or corporations or nonprofits will ask for capability statements. And a lot of people don't have it, don't know what that is. So that's going to be our next workshop to help us get in a position to win and not just survive, but thrive as a small business owner.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, one reason why I did join the Black Chamber and the other organizations that I'm a part of, like Visit Corpus Christi, is because I had so many of my own struggles, and I had to figure out a way to overcome those struggles, justify my needs, and find a community of people that was willing to help me. So that is why this whole event is going on today. So make sure you really take all these things into consideration. Take the resources, take the information, and take action on it.
I know you said, and we understand, ARC and all of those were done emergency situations. When that money it's no longer there, or the time frame has gone. The money go back to the federal government, or does it stay here? And the second part of that is, does some of that money, how do we become first in line when that money comes open? Is it under a new name, a new title? I can apply for this versus ARC is gone, but we do have that. You know what I'm trying to say? Where is the info to know when new grant money, I'm talking about free money, comes on board? You know, that's a hard thing because marketing is a thing we struggle with. We have social media, we have the chambers. Anytime funding is coming in, we have multiple ways that we market. I'm a baby boomer. I don't go to social media. I still read a newspaper, believe it or not. And most of you don't. So as we're trying to find different ways to market to the different age groups, I heard something on the radio before I came that there's an ageism problem with our culture because we have some really young entrepreneurs. We've got people in the middle group. You've got people in the old. I was visiting with somebody that's 78 years old yesterday, 78, and he's trying to figure out what kind of programs we have as well. And he doesn't intend to stop his business. He's been in business for 48 years. So as programs become available, if it comes from the federal government, then they're the ones coming in. It's out of our tax dollars, you know that, right? It's us. We're funding it. If it's coming from somebody like the city of Corpus Christi, our money is going back into a pool of funds for city business owners only when we use appropriated grants from the city to the fund that we give out to our business owners. To your point, there's different funding sources. We are trying to learn to get the message out. We have different ways to do it. And because of the way we read our messages, it's all about, I think she said, best letting people know and going to these organizations, the Small Business Development Center. Everybody's feeding out information. I even asked Curtis, where did people learn about this today? You know, I got an invite, but it's important that we know how to get invitations so that we'll know where to get funding sources from. There was another thing I really want you to know, and it's, credit is a big deal in the United States. Credit is a big deal. I don't care what Dave Ramsey hates credit, right? He hates credit. Get out of debt, get out of debt. Well, Dave Ramsey's a millionaire. I'm not, and I never will be. And I've had financial issues because I've been laid off 3 times. I'll be 70. So I've gone the curve. So I always ask people when they call me, and I had this conversation that I said earlier of a person who was homeless. She's making really good money. She has 4 children. Her credit right now is not where it can be. And I said, order your credit history. I know you hate to do it. Order it and let me walk you through it. And I'm going to tell you and recommend what I can help you do to fix this so I can get you bankable, whether it's bankable with me or bankable with him. Because that's how we look at character. That's our business ethics, our character. And there's 3 different ways to develop credit. One is with a normal resource like here. One is with a vendor. This particular lady, not from our area, is a janitorial service. Go find a vendor that might have in-house credit. Develop credit there. Ask who they report to. And then start managing that. Medical debt, it is important, but it doesn't hurt your credit anymore. But you need to take care of it. Small collections are hurting our clients. So all I'm asking is, order your credit, annualcreditreport.com, get all 3, and then get somebody to work with you. Do not go to a credit repair company. All they're doing is playing with time, and they're charging you to play with that time. All they're doing is 90 days disputing, and then all of a sudden it comes right back on your credit. Find somebody who's willing to help you, coach you, and I think I heard it earlier today, we can lead you to the well, we can't make you drink it. But we can make some good recommendations because I have been there too. But I've come out of the financial industry since 1973, so I know who to call. I know what to say, and I always say, by the way, did I make this call or did you make this call? I'm trying to pay you back, and I'd like for you to work with me. But I know that, and so I teach and educate and help you. If you don't know what your credit looks like, let's talk about it. because it's important today. And that's the only way. I can give somebody a loan that has a less than stellar credit score because they've always paid their bills. You know why I can help them? Because they have ability to pay me back. Somebody has an 800 credit score, I tell them no, because unfortunately, some of these industries that Josh talked about, they're charging an arm and a leg, and they're overextended in debt. And my clients are getting debited every single day for a percentage of their sales, every single day. And they have an 800 credit score and don't understand why I can't help them. Because now these people have taken your ability away to get access to cash. They've taken it away from you. And it's their way of, it's predator lending. It's unfortunate, I call them scoundrels, but it's predator lending because they're predators on people who don't know the difference. And it's lack of education. Because South Texas has the lowest credit scores in all of the United States. I did a study on that. And it's because lack of education. If I'm a 35-year-old and they say Laura, but my mother never told me that. And I said, ask me again what your mother told you. Did she tell you to go get into debt and not pay it back? Did your mother tell you that? No. Your mother taught you to pay your obligations. Don't blame this on your mother. You're 35 years old. So I just want you to know that credit is important, and it's the only way we can help you. But you become accountable for your obligations, and do not use these credit fixers because they're preying on you too. There are some good credit agencies out there, and they're nonprofits, and they're going to coach you, but not these others, especially when they're charging you like $200 a month, when you can just come to me and I'll teach you how to do it. I know how to do it for history.
So just one last comment. Going back to your question is how do I find out when this money becomes available for grants and all that stuff? I just want to answer that with just one simple word, and that's relationship. It's been a repeating theme that we've been talking about here. Just as how these people that are out here with me, we're trying to make an effort to be involved in the community, send a message out there, show you guys what we have available. You guys as well should do the same to us. Come to us or come talk to us. Very often we have this perception that I'll include myself because I do work for government, that we have this impression that government knows everything that we're doing, right? But very often when you establish your business, we don't know that you exist unless you come to us and tell us like, look, I'm a brand new business. I'm here to offer this service or product. But it's very difficult for us to keep track of all the new businesses that come into play each and every year. If you guys do not approach us, you might fall through the cracks. And when these programs become available, because we do not know of their existence, we might send out the message, but it's not reaching you because we do not have that first interaction, that knowing that you guys exist. So again, to answer your question, it's going to be a relationship. Our efforts to come out here to, whether it's the Black Chamber, the United Chamber, SBBC's events and all that stuff, it's our effort to educate you guys on the services that we offer, but at the same time, we do encourage you guys to do the same and attend these. Because again, familiar faces become people we do business with, and as we start learning your guys' names, you'll see it, that once this program becomes available, I'm going to remember you. I'm going to say, oh, you know what, I know somebody that has that same exact issue, and I know I can help them. And by then, we'll have your phone number, we'll have your email, and we'll be able to reach out to you specifically, because not only do we know that you exist as a business, but we've created that relationship where we understand what your specific needs are. And as these programs become available, I know which one I can guide to you for specific reference. So that's my answer.
Yeah, great information, great information. Charge your worth, pay your bills, create relationships, and that's why we're all here today.
Wow.
And attend the seminars that Corinne was talking about.
Thank you so much to these amazing panelists, and thank you to all of you who asked the questions. Alrighty, so we will now have an extended intermission for lunch, fellowship, and shopping, but we will reconvene at 12:30 for our next panel, which is My Black is Beautiful. And if you want to take a beautiful picture and a nice backdrop here with the Corpus Christi Black Chamber. It's right there. And there's also an amazing food truck outside that you can support, a nice local Black-owned business so that we can make sure that they are also being supported by the community here. Thank you.
Yes, go support our Black-owned business food truck.